It's your boy Terrence Cummins, aka the Music Master, coming from lovely Tupelo, Mississippi. This is the Music is Life podcast brought to you by Tupelo Music Academy. Tupelo Music Academy, where you can get all of your music lessons from voice to violin, strings, and everything in between. We're offering music lessons from all ages. Uh, this podcast is definitely sponsored by Tupelo Music Academy. We have a great guest today on the Music is Life podcast. Uh, Music is everything for us. And on this podcast, we wanted to highlight different leaders in the community, musicians, musicpreneurs, music elementary school teachers, and band directors, anyone who can share light to our community. And I reached out to this one young lady via Facebook who I felt like could bring some gems to the Music is Life and Tupelo Music Academy community. And without further ado, we're going to introduce Miss Halle Mims. Hello, hello, Miss Haley.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I definitely appreciate you being on. I reached out to you on Facebook and you were very prompt and got back with me. Welcome to the Music is Life podcast. Um, for those who do not know you, introduce yourself and just give who you are and where you're from and what you do.
Okay, well, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Halle Mims. I am a resident of Aberdeen, Mississippi. I have been a 6-year educator in the Aberdeen School District as an elementary music teacher for grades 4th, 5th, and 6th. I've just recently been promoted to Director of Bands for Aberdeen High School, so I will now be our head band director. And so that's just a little bit of what I do. I'm also a keyboard musician. Uh, I'm also a keyboard musician for my church, Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church, here in Aberdeen, under the leadership of Pastor Danny Gladney, as well as a soprano background vocalist and an alto background vocalist for a group in Columbus, which is Christopher Jose and New Life Chorale out of Columbus, Mississippi, and Sir Jerry Sadler and Sounds of Pentecost out of Greensboro, North Carolina. And so that's just a little bit about me. I've just been kind of involved in music for a long time.
Oh, well, I didn't see. I didn't know that part. Now, I
Yeah.
didn't know you. I didn't know you did any singing. I kind of knew about the piano, keyboard, some saxophone in there too, right?
Yes, my primary instrument is alto saxophone.
See, today is the day of saxophone. I interviewed another young lady today. She was also part of my beautiful family of the saxophone, so I had to put that out there. Well,
Okay.
I hey, you got a lot going on. So, what inspired you to get started in music and have a career in music?
Okay, well, to start off, I joined band when I was in 6th grade under the leadership of Tony Reese and Kenneth Clay, who were they're now retired band directors of Aberdeen. And so I've been in band my entire junior high school career. But of course, when I went to college, I started off at Inner Community College, and I originally started off as a nursing major. However, nursing was not for me. I figured that out my first semester there that I did not want to be a nursing major. And
Right,
so just over time, I found myself, I enjoy just listening to music, not necessarily maybe not the lyrics, but just, background. I'll listen to instrumentals all the time. I listen to background music. And so I just up and said, hey, why don't I just try it out? So I tried it out for one semester. Of course, I took all of my theory classes, ear training classes, and I found myself enjoying that. And whenever I find myself wanting to learn more about it, then I knew that this was for me. I was excited to learn anything in regards to music, just the history about it, and I wanted to further my career along that. And so, just by being in band overall from high school, you know, um, being around Miss Reese and Mr. Clay and just what they instilled in me while I was in high school. Because, of course, the band aspect not only teaches you just the fundamentals of music, but it also teaches you accountability, responsibility, and discipline. So those are the kind of like the life skills that I've took along with me. And then, of course, you create lifelong bonds with people in the band family, whether you know it or not. Um, and then also you create those bonds with those directors because reality is once you start your sixth grade year and on up, you have that same as long as they're there, you have that same band teacher. Of course, other grades, when you have your Englishes and your math, you're always changing teachers. But from that career on, you have the same band teacher. Same, so that's somebody that you're used to, especially when you're young and you're needing somebody to look up to, needing somebody to be there. And so just over time, it's just something that I enjoy doing. Of course, with me playing piano, it's something that I enjoy playing, I enjoy listening to, just learning more about it. So that's just kind of where I got started at, and I just decided to pursue it on up in college, and of course, get my degrees in it.
Now, you said Miss Reese and Mr. Clay, they were staples of the Aberdeen uh, band. Now, I come from Tupelo, which Floyd Stevens was the foundation of Tupelo for years. So that stability, I definitely understand where you come from because when I first got started about 20 some years ago, they were still the band directors down there. So you definitely come from a good stock in the Aberdeen area. So being that we're talking a bit about band, I like what you said about forming relationships and because a lot of my friends, I've been out of school for a number of years, and I still have a lot of connections. I have some band director friends that I graduated from, and this and that. So band programs are often, the cornerstone of the community. So could you share some memorable moments or highlights of the power of music? Because you just said something. Hey, we build relationships. So what are some other stories that you could share with us dealing with the band area?
Okay. I have a good bit. So when I was in high school, Miss Reese, we had this thing called the Night of Cultural Arts, and so it was the band included along with the art program. And so what it would be was we had this old theater downtown. It's called the Elkin Theater, and so every it was like we would pick a date in February. It would be held every February down at the Elkin Theater to where the jazz band would perform. They'll perform cultural music, any type of jazz music, and then the artists, they would have their paintings in the aisleway, and they will actually be selling their paintings. So of course, while you're hearing music, people are going out buying paintings, looking at different art and stuff, and then when they would come in and listen to the jazz band for a show. So that would always be an event that we would have. Backing on up a little bit, we would always host what's called, and you might have heard about it, it's called the 10-Time Marching Classic. So it's a marching competition that, of course, I do plan to bring back within the next year. Um, because that's just the Aberdeen tradition. Everybody came out. It was kind of like the segue up into state evaluation. So different bands would come and compete. It was kind of just like the prep competition up until the actual competition. And everybody enjoyed that. Of course, the band kids, they loved because they actually got to do something. They had a job to do.
Ah, yeah.
Whether you have greeters, whether you have band aids, whether you have people down at concessions. Of course, we'll have the band boosters. We'll have the parents driving the ATVs down, carrying equipment. Being hospitality, wherever it may be. It's just the fact that the kids felt involved doing something and not just out here just not doing anything. We want our
Right.
kids to be involved. Um, Another event that I forgot the name of it, but Miss Reese would do it. It was kind of like she would go to a we would go to a cemetery and we would kind of act out. So it was a gravesite. It was a gravesite.
Okay.
um,
Okay.
and so she got real creative with a lot of things. And so she would go to a gravesite and we'll have this big event. It would kind of happen right before dark. And so the person that was deceased, and
Mhm.
these were older, like back in the 1800s. They were you would research that person, and then of course you'll have this pathway going through the cemetery, and
Hmm.
then you'll make each stop where that person was, and then it tells about that person that was deceased and their impact on Aberdeen. Their, you know, it was pretty much like an Aberdeen community thing. That we did. Of course, we always did events. You know, walking through the elementary schools for graduations. You know, doing walkthroughs, pep rallies. The band was involved in a lot all around the year. And it made our kids feel like they were a part of something. And so that's my goal for the upcoming year, just to kind of get back into it, because I know once COVID had hit, everything kind of died down. And that actually kind of hurt our band program a little
Right.
bit, just because of all the different regulations and rules that we had to follow in the education system and just in the school system all around.
Yeah. Now, I have never heard of the graveyard walking through. That's
Yes.
that's unique. Now, do you plan on bringing that back?
Well, she still does it. She
Okay.
still does it from time to time. So I'm gonna get more of my band kids involved. Even though she's retired, she still, you know, they still come and they still help with the band. They still volunteer
Okay.
with the band, and so
Okay.
I'm
That.
appreciative of that. Just because now they know that it's me, and I say I'm one of I'm one of their kids that's
Yeah.
going to be in the head position now. So
I love it.
the skills that they instilled in me is what I plan on instilling in the next generation.
I love that. I love that because a lot of times it's a couple things. Uh, Usually, the next person wants to wipe out what was done, or they jack it up, and or they do it and say they started it when they actually
Right.
got it from a mentor. So let me segue into that since it just kind of opened the door. Mentorship, um, coaching, coming up. Who did you have? It's Tupelo Music Academy. This is a podcast, and of course, we do music lessons. And I'm a big proponent of music lessons. Um, how do you feel as a band director about private music lessons, and how did music lessons affect you coming up?
Um, I am a huge advocate actually for private music lessons. The reason why is because, of course, being when I was in high school and in our band hall, we actually have two practice rooms, and so we utilize those. Miss Reese would actually schedule days to practice with certain sections, or she would also schedule days to practice one on one for students who needed it or just who wanted it. And then that actually continued on into college. Of course, being in college, you had to have what's called private studio time. And so you'll have your own studio session. So at Norman Community College, my advisor was Miss Christy Colburn. And so my advanced lessons started with her. And then as I progressed, I graduated from Etowah Community College, and then I went to Mississippi State. And then my advisor there was Miss Sherry Falcone. She gave me even more advanced music, and she was a little bit tougher on me. Now, were there times that I wanted to cry and quit? Absolutely. But would it be worth me quitting? Absolutely not. And so I continued to push myself mainly
Right.
because you had those mentors, and especially those two that believed in me and they saw the skill and talent that I had, so they wanted to push me harder. So I'm a firm believer in even having you know, private music lessons, even at the younger age, because it's only going to make you better as long as you're consistent with it. And so you know, and I actually like the fact that you have your academy and you're offering it to younger people. That way they have a chance to build up their skills even while they are in a band or junior high band. It's only going to make them better, especially for the clinics that are offered at these colleges, conferences to
Mhm.
go to. It just makes it better. And then it teaches them work ethic, hard work ethic. Whether parents know it or not, it teaches them hard work ethic. Like, okay, I know I have to do this, or you know, I know that if I do this, it's gonna make it into this. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
always a process, and I think parents need to start thinking of it that way, because you have some parents that think, oh, well, they think of the money aspect of it. Okay, I
Right.
don't think yes, it may be a lot of money, but it's an investment into your child's career.
It
You
definitely
know,
is.
and you know, and I'm gonna be a little, I might ruffle a little feathers when I say this, and I'm always saying this. If they have the money to pay for $300 pair of shoes, they can pay that $300 to invest in your child's career.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now the music part. My my parents are pastors, and I'm the oldest, and I wanted to play music. So it was my first instrument was bongos, and
Okay.
having those bongos going to church, I made sure after my clothes was put on, I had my bongos. It was important for me to do that. And then, as I advanced to drums and then saxophone and on and on and on, having that was important to me as a part of like my job. That's the way I saw it. And
Hmm.
then because I started doing bongos at like 5, once band started, just like you said, starting early, I was introduced to music through my parents. Once I got in the band, it was a lot easier for me. So mentorship and coaching, I was telling some of my students, right now I have a coach out of New York that I'm working with on jazz saxophone. I said I've been playing a while, but I still have a coach. So in the tough times, this goes back to something you said just a while ago. You had one mentor that was kind of tough on you. You wanted to quit. You wanted to cry. A lot of times down at the academy, we have students when they're excited when they first start, and then as they get into it, it gets a little tough and they want to quit. What would you say to young musicians who go through those tough times? To get over the hump. What would you say to those young musicians?
Well, for one, don't quit because if you quit, then that's going to be the mentality that you go with for the rest of your life. So, for example, if you're in sports, if you're playing football, and you start off, and then it starts to get a little tough, or somebody hits you, are you going to quit then? Most likely, no, because you want to play football, and that's something that you love. So, if this is something that you love and something that's a passion of yours, you're not gonna you're not gonna quit. And then too, just you. I journal nightly. And so even if you have to, if you don't want to say it out loud, write it down. What are your struggles? Okay, what are you struggling with? Okay, read over those struggles. Then what you do is once you read over every struggle, write a solution or a possible solution as to how can you overcome that struggle of what you're dealing with. Even when you're playing, and I remember this because Miss Falcone taught me this. Even when you're playing, let's say if you're reading a piece of sheet music, and you come across a phrase that you're having trouble with, and I thought she was a little weird when she told me this, but it actually worked. She told me play the phrase backwards 3 times. And so I looked at her like, huh? I did say huh because I was confused. She said play the phrase backwards 3 times. So of course I did it. Was it hard? Yes, because I was so confused. So I played it my 3 times, and then she said, okay, now play it forward 1 time. And I played it forward, no problem. I don't know how she did that, but I've been doing that method ever since, and
Okay.
that's how I progress in my skills.
Hey, I like that. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that tomorrow in my saxophone little master class I got. Y'all play that backwards for me. Let me hear that. I like that.
Yes, I
So
would have never thought of that.
no, I wouldn't either. But that's the beauty of these podcasts. I pick up something from every guest that I have, so I'm definitely gonna use that one. That's a gem. If you don't know that one, I'm gonna highlight that one. All right. So with that, it comes with all right. So you're learning. How do you balance creativity and expression with discipline? Because you know people think that being creative is being undisciplined and it's just whatever, and then being disciplined you can't be creative. How do you balance that all? How do you put that together?
Well, being disciplined overall, I take this and I tell my middle school kids this. It does start in the home. Um, so first and foremost, you have to know what both mean, know what discipline means, and know what creativity means. A lot of times, people say discipline is a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Discipline to me means self control. So learning how to control yourself in certain situations. Um, so for example, if you're wanting to be creative with something, but also making sure that you're being disciplined with something, you're gonna have to sit down, write it out. Write it out. What first and foremost, write out what exactly you want to be creative about. So you have to establish the thought first. Write it down on paper so you can actually see it. Once you write that out, then what you can do is write out some options as to, okay, well, okay, topic A, or no, not topic, well, what is it? Letter A or letter B or letter B. Come up with different options. You know, um, it's kind of a that's kind of broad a little bit.
Well,
But
you narrow it down because see, one thing I've noticed with you is you write out things,
yes.
and people use different ways to get past. So just narrow it down to where how if Haley was going through trying to balance, give our listeners something that they could use to bring that together in the way that you would do it.
Um, if it were me, well, like I said, of course, me writing down a lot. That's just something that I've built a habit of doing. Um, and so if it were me, um, of course, if you're combining discipline and creativity, or not, are we talking about creativity with music or like creativity with um playing, or can you specify that for me?
Yeah, if we're being creative, um, let's say we're playing and we got
Okay.
to go somewhere to play. You know, to get to that point, this is where I'm saying you got to be disciplined to get to that point. The discipline allows you to be creative. So, how
Mhm.
do you hone that in? What specific works would you do in order to make that happen?
Okay. So you're saying that referring to playing, right? That's what you
Right,
said.
right,
And then if we have to go somewhere to play, but in order for us to go somewhere to play, we have to be disciplined with that. Correct?
right.
I
Correct.
just want to make sure I get it clear. Sorry, it's been a long day at work.
You
And so
good? You good?
my brain is like semi fried. Uh, but I mean, well, I would develop first and foremost, I would develop a kind of like a, let's say if it was during a 3 month span, develop a strategy. And I would develop goals leading up, well, develop a goal and develop strategies leading up to that goal. And so I don't want to say like an itinerary because that sounds really, yeah.
No, no,
But,
it doesn't.
you know, develop a plan. So being disciplined, have a plan set in stone, to where, okay, it's kind of like a checklist. Like, all right,
Right,
I'm like, okay, this is the starting point. Okay, this is gonna be my start, and you can start small.
right,
Start off small with whatever it is. Like, okay, this is gonna be my starting point. Once I check that off, I'm gonna move to the next starting point. So it's kind of like adding on each time. Like um, just a little plan that you add on each time.
well, you
And
get to see
so
the
that's kind of
progression
like
of it.
how I said it again.
So you're getting to see how you progress by checking things
Yes,
off.
you want to.
Yep.
Yes, so you want to see your progress, and then also even if you want, you can have someone else watch your progress for you. So that goes back to your mentor. And so let's say if you create that checklist, a progress list that's going to lead up to that goal, you can give your mentor a copy and y'all can schedule, when to meet, or say, hey, this is where I'm at so far. Can you review this for me? How am I doing? Can you check me out? I always do like check-ins or anything like that. Anything that's going to help you better yourself as a musician, better your skills as a musician.
I love it. I love it. That is, I think sometimes we're playing, but we're not putting thought into play. So I like how you
Right.
broke that down. Okay, so here's my last question for you. If you had to start today with all the knowledge that you have, what would you do different?
Ooh. What would I do different? Honestly, if I'm starting today with all the knowledge that I have,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, probably nothing.
Mm,
Um, reason being and reason why is because you know, well, actually no, I take that back. I take that back.
okay.
I take that back. Now, are we saying what would I do different for me or for the program
For
that I
you?
have just for me.
Yeah, personally.
Uh, well, for one, I would be more be way more attentive. Um, I would. Mm, well, actually, no. I really wouldn't change it. Now that I'm really just giving it a deeper thought, I wouldn't change. Just because the organization that I have now and the plan that I have now, I probably wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, it is what it is. Well, all right. Well, let me ask you this:
Okay.
if being that you are a mentor, band director, leader, um, a young musician coming up, and with the experience that you have now, they're just starting their musical journey. What would you what would you advise someone to be open to? They're just starting.
Be open to constructive criticism. Please be open to constructive criticism.
Right.
And it's not so much of they're fussing, it's they're correcting. And they're correcting out of love. First and foremost, they're correcting out of love because they know where you can go.
Right.
And they're correcting because they see the skill level that you have and they see the potential that you have. And so you don't want to have that mindset of, oh, so and so is fussing at me and making me feel bad. That's not the case. That's
Right.
not the case. They want you to get better, and the thing is, if you're disciplined how you're supposed to be, you're
Mm,
able to take constructive criticism without being offended.
there you go.
And so, I mean, even myself, I've had a lot of constructive criticism from Miss Reese. And now is it okay to kind of feel away? Absolutely.
Yeah,
We're all
that's
human.
human. Hmm.
However, you still have to be disciplined to know that it is constructive criticism to only make you better.
I love it. I love it. So, Ms. Mims, where if some of our listeners are in your area, you're developing a whole program. So officially you'll be the head director. Is it now or next year?
I am now.
Okay.
They started
So
me this month.
so you're in the Aberdeen area and you're working with you got a staff down there from elementary to high school. Is that the way it worked?
And so it's me, and then I have an assistant band director, and
Okay.
I do have hopefully I can get this other guy in if the superintendent approves. So we're usually a three staff band.
Okay.
And so it's usually the head band director and two assistants. But of course, one of the assistants works at the middle school, which will be K 5 and 6.
Okay. So if someone's looking for you, where can they find you? Where will you be playing, singing, or doing, music outside of the school?
Well, of course, you can find me in Columbus. I'm normally I travel a lot. Um, and so you can run into me a lot in Columbus, at some of the churches around the GTA area, Columbus, start with West Point. I actually have some colleagues up in the Tupelo area. And so because we went to college together, so around Shannon, the band director over at Shannon, he was actually my mentee. Um, his name is Terrell Gilmore. He's the head band director over at Shannon.
I know Mr. Gilmore.
My colleague, he was my mentee at Mississippi State. We went to Mississippi State together, saxophonist. Um, Mr. Markel Brooks, we went to
Hmm.
Itawamba Community College together. So I know a good bit of people in the Tupelo area as well, and beyond Tupelo,
Yeah.
up in Oxford. And of course, you can find me online. You know Facebook. Mainly my main social is my Facebook. Um, of course, like the Instagram is that's because I do makeup on the side. But that's like a little part time thing that I do.
Gotcha.
But mainly,
Gotcha.
if you want to find me on social media, you can find me on Facebook. We do have a band page on Facebook. It's Aberdeen High School Band. So you can follow us there. I'm actually working on getting a band Instagram and a band Twitter. Just kind of keep up with updates and everything. You can follow our district. You'll find me on the district pages. But of course, outside the school, you can find me at my church. Um, I just travel a lot. You can find me at multiple churches if I'm not playing, I'm singing.
Okay. All right. Well, look, musician's life is like that. I definitely understand that between church, gigs, the school, there's always something going, studio time. Uh, so I get it. We definitely appreciate you being on. You dropped a ton of gems today. And I appreciate you sharing this with the Tupelo Music Academy, Music is Life community. Y'all know what to find there. She's in the Columbus, West Point, Aberdeen area. You can catch her band, church, singing, playing. It is music is our life. I definitely appreciate you, Miss Mims. We're gonna end it with just a few announcements. Now, again, this podcast was brought to you by Tupelo Music Academy, where you can get your music lessons from voice to violin, strings, and everything in between. Tupelo Music Academy, located at 1186 Cliff Gookin here in Tupelo, Mississippi. We're starting at ages 3 and up. Intro to music classes, you name it, we got it there. We love for you to be a part of the music community. Again, we want to thank Ms. Mills for being a part of the Music is Live podcast. I'm your boy Terrence Cummins, aka the Music Master, coming from lovely Tupelo, Mississippi, Tupelo Music Academy. Y'all be blessed.